I changed it up a bit because I was watching one of my recent videos and said, wow, my area needs to be cleaned up. So there you go, I finally changed it for once. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is not because of this. It's because of this band that I've been hearing about over the past couple of months, where one song in particular has given them a really, really interesting comparison to that of the historic nu metal band Korn, a band that's been around since the 1990s, has sold multiple records, won multiple awards. They were one of the couple of nu metal bands that were able to gain recognition in the mainstream for their unique and weird sound. It was kind of like shock value at first, and now they're just either generally hated or generally loved. And when you're in that point in your career where you're 50-50, you know you've done something right. And I myself, as you guys may know, am a Korn fan. I loved their last record, and I can't wait to hear what they have in store next. But the band we're here to talk about today isn't Korn. It's this band called Chaoseum. Yes, Chaos and Museum mixed together. They've been around since 2018, and as far as I know, nobody's really pointed this comparison out to Korn until recently, when a while back at this point, a couple months already, they released a single for their album that came out last year. The song was called Smile Again, and the Korn comparisons came right out. The similarities are there, no doubt, but I didn't want to take my judgment and just think that they were fully copying Korn from that one song, because yes, I can hear it from the riffs that they do, from the breakdowns, from the lead singer's voice sounding almost exactly like Jonathan Davis. I was like, holy shit, if they are not copying Korn, they are definitely inspired by Korn. But like I said before, I raised judgment as to whether they were copying or not. I wanted to listen to their albums, the two albums that they currently have out now, just to see if this is blatant just copy-pasting, or if this was just one song with one influencer. Maybe they have other songs that kind of have a Korn influence on them but aren't necessarily as blatant as this one is. And from my research, I mean, other songs do have that Korn tinge to them, but I think that song here, Smile Again, is the most that they've ever sounded like Korn. This band is weird in a way, as they've done power metal before, death metal, nu metal. They've done all kinds of different metal in their songs that it all just kind of blends together, but I guess for that one song they just wanted to show the Korn influence. And now all of a sudden they're getting this thing about, oh, they're copying Korn, or they're the new Korn, when really I don't think people have done the research that they needed to do. I almost forgot to mention too that their first album featured a female lead singer, and to go along with the metal that they were doing, they also sounded a bit punk. So the guy you hear in the new songs isn't the original lead singer, it was actually a female, so that was an interesting fact too that I forgot to mention. Probably should have, but hey, that's why when I edit and realize stuff that I didn't put in, I do this. If they were trying to copy that of Korn, then you would think that all the songs past Smile Again would sound similar to that, or they would just be blatantly ripping off Korn every time. But with other songs, you see other elements in there too, and sometimes the lead singer's voice even sounds like Marilyn Manson, or like an early Danny Worsnop, stuff like that. Like, it's all over the place, and that's leading me to believe that they're not trying to copy Korn, they're not the new Korn, they're just this newer metal band that released this one song, and now I don't necessarily want to say it's a meme, but people are all over it because of the Korn similarities. And I tried to look it up just to see if Jonathan Davis has talked about this band, or any member of Korn has talked or mentioned this band, and maybe be like, yeah, they're pretty cool, or we don't like the fact that they blatantly, you know, stole our sound, this, that, and the other. And I couldn't find anything. But, you know, my thing is, if you were to probably ask Jonathan Davis about this band, show him this song, he'd be like, oh, you know what? that's pretty badass. I'm glad that someone wants to keep our legacy living on. I'm glad that someone is so inspired by us that they will literally make a song that will get confused for us, because that happens a lot of the time. Bands will get confused with each other. Like, for the longest time, I thought Blink-182 wrote My Own Worst Enemy.
You stupid!
Don't ask me why. My younger self just always thought it was Blink-182. Turns out it wasn't. You live and you learn, and this is just one of those things for people. I think you live and you learn, not because necessarily they're saying, oh, this is Korn. It's just they're judging this band off of this one song, and it just so happened to sound like Korn, when they don't go and listen to the other songs that they have and the 2 albums that they put out to basically see if they are or not. It's just basically like, oh, okay, this has got to be what they sound like all the time, because people need to start realizing that, especially in rock nowadays, bands don't usually sound similar. The ones that do are the boring bands that get made fun of a lot. But when you have bands in rock, especially newer bands, they like to change it up every so often, and not necessarily from album to album, but from song to song. So just because one song may sound like another artist's song, that doesn't mean that they're copying them. It means they're influenced, and they'll show on the rest of their albums who else they're influenced by, this and that and the other. Heck, there was some electronic moments mixed in their records. Like I said, it was a very interesting listen, because I was expecting them to sound a lot like Korn all the time, but that wasn't the case really. Like I said, there was other songs where you had the definite tinges, but for the most part, I think that one song is going to be what brings people to them, because also, too, if they were doing it because they knew the, I don't want to say backlash, but the attention that it was going to get, then kudos to them, because I think it worked. And this could be like an up-and-coming rock band of the future. I don't think they're going to go mainstream. I don't think their music really can fit that mainstream thing going on. But I wouldn't be surprised if metal started talking about them more, and they started doing a lot more headline shows, this, that, and the other, because they were interesting to listen to. I don't think I was really all that bored. Did I necessarily like what I heard? It's passable overall. I think I would go back, and the next album that this band would release, I definitely would go and listen to, but I, for one, am not going to go out of my way to listen. There's others that are going to be like that, and I just have the feeling that because of what they did here with this song, that they're going to be the next best thing, or maybe not. Maybe it'll backfire, like the Bad Wolves when they did Zombie, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a minute, this isn't what they sound like, and now they're just kind of, I don't want to say dying off, they're still doing good for themselves, but, you know, they became more generic. Maybe with this band it'll be like, oh, people hear this, oh, they sound like old Korn, this is what we wanted, and they listen to the rest of the stuff and they're like, well, no they don't, and then they just never listen to that band again because they were expecting something else. So this is one that could hurt them, this is one that could definitely help them, and so far it's helped them because they've gained the attention, and I just see a lot of videos of people reacting to this and just not necessarily bashing the band, but being like, oh, they're copying, and I'm just like, are they copying though? Because to me, copying isn't necessarily just one song, it's about the rest of the material, and, you know, they're not necessarily stealing Korn's look either. Sure, some of them have the dreadlocks or whatever, but they do like this Slipknot-inspired makeup type thing, like it's very horror-themed and all that stuff, so really, it's just that one song to me that I could see where the Korn comparisons come, but everything else from them, definitely a mixed bag of everything in this case. So if you haven't, definitely go give this band a listen outside of Smile Away. I mean, if you want to listen to that song just to get the gist of things, go ahead, but listen to the other songs. Go and listen to their albums, I encourage you, because you will see that that one song where they just copy and pasted Korn is not what they actually are, and they're just showing influences more often than not. So yeah, that's basically it for me. Stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and until then, I will catch you all in the next one.